Hello friends, welcome back to Wow IAS. Welcome to the discussion on Vision IAS Social Issues PT 365, and this is part 6 of the lecture series. Hope you have seen the other 5 parts, but if you haven't, I will leave the link of the playlist in the description. Please go and watch. So in this part 6, we are going to discuss two topics. Fourth topic, that is health, and fifth topic, nutrition and sanitation. So we will discuss important things from these two topics so that these topics will help you in your examination. Now let's begin the discussion. Guys, for your information, the document which we are using in this discussion is the summary which we have prepared from the PT365, and this summary basically reduces the size of the whole document. For example, if the document size is 60 pages, we have reduced it and we have summarized it into only 25 to 30 pages so that you can revise the same document multiple times. So while revising the document, if you watch this video, things will become very easy for you and things will become very clear as well. So make the best use of this initiative. If you want the details, join our Telegram channel whose details are there in the description. Now let's begin the discussion. So in this fourth topic, health, the first thing what we have is the National Digital Health Mission. So in this National Digital Health Mission, if you see, the main aim of this digital health mission is to digitize the health infrastructure. So digitizing health infrastructure means having the details of doctors, having the details of patients, having the details of hospitals, everything online. Now, because of this, what will happen is that, for example, the patient goes to hospital A and he gets a treatment. But later on, after 1 year, if the patient gets some other problem because of the complication, or you can say because of the treatment which was done in this hospital A, now he will go to hospital B. Now, this hospital B person has to know what was the treatment that was done earlier 1 year before. So for this, the patient cannot carry all the documents with him. Sometimes they might get misplaced as well. So now, if whole of the details are there in the digital health infrastructure, or if the whole details are there online, then the doctor in hospital B can easily verify those documents, can easily see what treatment was given earlier and what was the mistake that happened, or what is the complication that happened because of the earlier treatment. Then the doctor B can suggest a good treatment for this patient. Okay. So this is how you can actually understand about the National Digital Health Mission. So this was launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in pilot mode in 6 union territories. And this concept, if you see, this came up in the National Health Policy 2017. But this has various drawbacks as well, which we will discuss in our mains classes. But here understand, under this National Digital Health Mission, we have this National Health Stack as well. So this National Health Stack basically comprises of all the stakeholders' details. And in 2019, the National Digital Health Blueprint was also prepared by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, and if you see, the National Digital Health Mission, basically, it is a voluntary healthcare program that reduces the gap among the stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders in the health industry? They are doctors, hospitals, citizens, etc., by connecting them using integrated digital health infrastructure. And the vision is to create national digital health ecosystem supporting universal health coverage in efficient, accessible, inclusive, affordable, timely, and safe manner. Okay, and as I told, this was launched only in 6 union territories as of now, and the union territories are Chandigarh, Ladakh, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Lakshadweep. So in all these islands, it was rolled out. If you see the major features of the National Digital Health Mission, first is the Health ID. The Health ID basically is the ID. Okay, the health ID, it's that ID which is given to the patients, and this ID basically will be used for the medical test, the prescription, diagnosis, treatment, etc. And next you have digital doctor, so DigiDoctor in fact. So it's basically single updated repository of the doctors with details like name, qualification, specification, etc. so that the patient can get more information about the doctor. Next you have the Health Facility Registry, which is the repository of health facilities. Next you have personal health records and the electronic medical records. So these things contain the medical records, that is the information about the patient's treatment. Okay, so this all will be there. And you also have the National Digital Health Mission Sandbox, which was set up to enable software integration with digital building blocks and test guidelines. So Sandbox is basically that platform where integrations will be done and various testings also will be done. And the National Digital Health Mission is developed by adopting India Enterprise Architecture Framework, which is notified by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And this India Enterprise Architecture is basically a citizen-centric, efficient, focused, event-driven architecture platform. And the reference models and standards are taken indigenously for designing enterprise architecture. That means the whole of everything is made indigenously using the indigenous conditions. And the various initiatives which are related to the digital health, if you see, first one is the eSanjeevani platform. Remember these important things. eSanjeevani platform is basically telemedicine. So you might have heard the concept of telemedicine. Basically, today, these days, during this COVID time, what we are doing is telemedicine. That means we are consulting doctor using internet. So that is called as telemedicine. And this eSanjeevani platform enables two telemedicine services, doctor to doctor and patient to doctor. Okay, these are the two teleconsultation services which is provided, and till now more than 1,50,000 teleconsultations are completed. And next is e-hospital, which is a ICT based hospital management for the government hospitals, because normally these government hospitals generally don't have the infrastructure, don't have the money to maintain this infrastructure or the IT infrastructure. So that's why this e-hospital is given to the government hospitals. Next you have the Mera Aspatal. Mera Aspatal is basically a feedback system where the patients can give feedback regarding doctor and the hospital. Next you have the EVIN, the Electronic Vaccine Intelligence Network. So it's a vaccine intelligence network wherein the indigenously designed vaccines, or you can say this is an indigenously designed platform where the real-time monitoring of the vaccines is being done. So how many vaccines are available, where they are available, and what is their situation. So everything, all the real-time details, at what temperature they are available, all the details are provided in this EVIN. Next you have the National Health Portal. So this National Health Portal is basically to establish single point access for health information. And next you have the Draft Health Data Management Policy of the National Digital Health Mission. So under this Draft Health Data Management Policy, the guidance document across national digital health ecosystem and sets minimum standard for the data privacy protection. That is also there. So next, if you see the National Digital Health Mission ecosystem, in this ecosystem you have central government, state government, the program managers, the regulators, associations, the NGOs, all the other practitioners, the Ayush, the healthcare tech companies. So all these come under the stakeholders, and they come under this National Digital Health Mission ecosystem. Okay, now let's move on. Next one is the COVID-19 and mental health. So we have observed one thing during this COVID-19, the mental health of the people has got affected because people are staying indoors, people are not meeting each other. So because of all this, the mental health of the people has become an issue. So that's why there has been instances where widespread psychological distresses were recorded in COVID-19 affected countries, affecting the mental health of the people. And as per WHO, the mental health makes 15% of the total diseases. So mental health is something which people has to focus on. And in India, if you see, the Mental Healthcare Act of 2017 provides for mental healthcare and services for people with mental illness. This is there. And if you see the initiatives taken for mental health during COVID-19, so this is what is important, okay, the initiatives. And the first initiative, if you see, actually the WHO Department of Mental Health and Substance Use has issued various guidelines. And in India, if you see, the Manodarpan is that initiative launched by the Ministry of Education. Remember, Manodarpan by Ministry of Education, and it is part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan to provide psychological support and counseling to the students, teachers, families for mental health and emotional well-being. So remember, Manodarpan by Education Ministry. And Kiran is another initiative launched by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which is a toll-free number. Kiran is a toll-free number which is basically to support, or you can see it's a 24-hour service provided for the people, so that they can get support for early screening, first aid, psychological support, distress management, mental well-being, etc. So Kiran is launched by Ministry of Social Justice, whereas Manodarpan is launched by Ministry of Education. These two are the important things. And the provisions with related to the Mental Health Care Act, you can just pause and go through them once, because these are not much important from this year exam point of view. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. So here some other initiatives are given, some other initiatives by the government. If you see, the National Mental Health Program, which is implemented since 1982. Okay, the National Mental Health Program is implemented since 1982, and the government supports implementation of District Mental Health Program in 517 districts for detection, management and treatment of mental disorders. Next one, you have the National Mental Health Policy of 2014. Under this, universal access to mental health care institution, strengthen leadership in mental health care, give role for center, state, local bodies and civil society organizations. So all these are considered under the National Mental Health Policy of 2014. Next you have the RAHAP. So RAHAP, if you see, it is created by the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. Remember this, the RAHAP is created by National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, which is NIMHANS. Okay. So this institution has created this, and it is a mobile application which will help people to search more information with regard to mental health care. Like it will have details of professionals like psychiatrists, psychologists, the psychiatric social workers, etc. So all these things will be there in the RAHAP, which is created by National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. And this NIMHAS, if you see, it's a multidisciplinary institute for patient care and academic pursuit of mental health and neurosciences. And in 2012, it was given Institute of National Importance as well. And it operates under the Health Ministry. So this is about the RAHAP and NIMHANS. Now let's move on to the next one. So next one is the information about drug abuse in India. So drug abuse, if you see, basically this is caused because of two important things. The first one is the Golden Crescent, which is there towards the west of India, and next you have the Golden Triangle, which is there towards the east of India. The Golden Crescent consists of countries like Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the Golden Triangle consists of countries like Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam and Thailand. So from these two, so actually why these are important is that these two are the major drug producing regions, the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. Okay, so because of as India is sandwiched between these two regions, okay, the drug problem is in India is increasing, because the people are getting drugs very easily, you can say, because of the smuggling and other things. And recently the World Drug Report 2020 was released. So who releases the World Drug Report 2020? It is the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. UN Office on Drugs and Crime, remember this, and it has outlined consequences of COVID-19 on illegal drug production, supply and consumption, etc. And you have this initiative called Nashe Mukt Bharat. And this Nashe Mukt Bharat, if you see, this was launched by the Ministry of Social Justice to eradicate drugs in the country, especially to eradicate drugs from the 272 affected districts of the country. It was launched by, as I told, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment on International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, which is on June 26th. So drug abuse in India, if you see, according to this report, the substances abused, if you see, they are alcohol, opiates, cocaine, the hallucination and the prescription based drugs as well, along with the cannabis. And the UN Office on Drug report said that India is among countries with highest illicit cultivation and production of cannabis from 2007 to 2010 to 17, because we have a lot of regions which are not regulated, and we also have a lot of hill stations and all which are very conducive for the growth of cannabis. And in 2018, India topped with the largest seizure in South Asia, which is 266.5 ton of cannabis herb. And as per the AIMS report in 2019, alcohol is the most psychoactive substance used, followed by cannabis and opioids by Indians. Within India, worst affected regions are Northeast and Northwest India, followed by Mumbai and Delhi and now Haryana as well. So okay, as I told, India is a link between the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle, and the drug smuggling happens between these two regions, and India is sandwiched between these two. The drug problem in India is increasing, and it is becoming a major threat to Indian internal security as well. And you have the Nashe Mukt Bharat Annual Action Plan, which is for the year 2020 to 2021, and it was launched by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and it is a nodal agency for the drug demand reduction, and it has a national action plan. Okay, so that the focus will be there in these important 272 districts which are affected by the drugs. And a three-pronged attack is launched. Three-pronged attack. What is the three-pronged attack? First, so the Narcotic Bureau, basically they will take efforts to seize all the drugs. That is the first thing. And after that seizing of drugs, the awareness will be enhanced. The awareness between the people, or you can say in the people, will be increased by the social justice and treatment through health department. And after that, the people will be treated, and you have all the rehabilitation plans as well. And the legal framework for the drugs, if you see Article 47, which is DPSP, it states that the state shall endeavor to bring the prohibition of consumption of these type of drugs and toxic drinks, okay, which are harmful for the people. And you have the National Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act in 1985, which was enacted for the control and regulation of operations with regard to drugs. And you have the Narcotic Control Bureau, which was constituted as a National Drug Enforcement and Intelligence Agency. And you have Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which prepared National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction. And you have international collaborations as well. India is signatory of 3 UN conventions, so remember these things. India is signatory for the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs of 1961, the Convention on Psychotropic Substances of 1971, and the Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs of 1988. These are the 3. So next one, you have the Epidemic Diseases Amendment Bill of 2020. So this bill was passed in the Parliament to ensure that the doctors are protected, because doctors are the front-end workers and who are being attacked in recent times. So that's why to protect the doctors, to protect the healthcare workers, this epidemic disease amendment bill was brought in by the parliament in 2020. So under this bill, the protection is provided to the healthcare personnels, and the act of violence against healthcare personnels includes harassment, harm, injury, hurt, damage to life, obstruction and discharge of the duties, etc. are considered, and for this a crime, or you can say crime under this. Okay, the people who does this, they will be punished. They will be punished with an imprisonment between 3 months to 5 years, and also a fine between 50,000 to 2 lakhs. This is there, and the person convicted will have to pay compensation to healthcare service personnel whom they hurt. And if you see this original Epidemic Diseases Act, it was passed in 1987 to actually see it was brought in during the time of the Bombay bubonic plague in 1890s. Bombay faced this bubonic plague in 1890s, and during this time, this Epidemic Disease Act was brought in. So this act basically, you can say, this is the one which is guiding the government during this COVID-19 pandemic. So it is the solitary law historically used as the framework for containing spread of diseases, including cholera and malaria as well. So this law gives powers to the central and the state government to take all the steps to prevent the spread of the disease. And Section 2 of the Act actually empowers the state government also to take actions against against the traveling of people. This is also there. And this Act provides penalties for disobeying regulations under the Act, and it doesn't define dangerous infection or contagious diseases and an epidemic. And the act was applied to impose lockdown during the COVID-19. So this is about the Epidemic Diseases Act. So next one, important reports. If you see, there is this first report called the Health in India report. Health in India report. This Health in India report basically is launched by Ministry of MOSPI, the Ministry of Statistics. Okay. And this report is based on data collected from July 2017 to June 2018 as part of the 75th round of National Sample Survey. And if you see the total health expenditure by the center and the state, it is only 1.29% of the GDP, where center's share was 25%, and the center spends less as public health and sanitation are state subjects. Okay, so the spending in the health sector, if you see, it's only 1.29%, which is very less. This has to be increased. Okay, and next one, you have the National Family Health Survey, which is released by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, and this is a collaborative project of International Institution for Population Sciences, Mumbai, and other institutes as well. And if you see, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, it designated the IIPS, the International Institute for Population Sciences, as the nodal agency for this survey, and it is responsible for providing coordination and technical guidance for the National Family Health Survey. Okay, so here are the key findings that are given. You can just go through this. These are not directly important for the exam, because small things are generally not asked in the UPSC prelims. But if you want, you can just pause and go through this. Okay, so because here, if you see, they just give the major trends. Okay, that is the important thing. Right, now let's move on to the next thing. So next one is the Niti Aayog's India's Vision 2025 for PHS, the primary health system. So under this, for the public health, PHS is the public health surveillance, not primary health system. It is public health surveillance. And under this Vision 2035, the public health surveillance in India through the public health system integrated into Ayushman Bharat, and it lays the foundation for integrated surveillance for communicable and non-communicable diseases, and it make India's PHS system more responsive and prepared. And it will be a citizen-friendly public health surveillance, so that more of data will be shared between central government and state government, and more of actions can be taken to improve health of the people. Because what we need is not a reactive, okay, we need a proactive approach to save the people. And if you see some other important news, the important thing what we have is here, the Arogya Path. The Arogya Path, if you see, it's a web-based national healthcare supply chain portal, which is actually launched to check the real-time availability of critical healthcare supplies. So remember, Arogya Path is basically the portal which provides real-time availability of healthcare supplies, critical healthcare supplies. Next, you have the Jan Aushadhi Sugam mobile app. So this Jan Aushadhi Sugam mobile app is basically launched in 2019 to help people to locate nearby Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Okay, so this is basically an app which is used to search these centers, and it is developed by Bureau of Pharma PSU of India under the Department of Pharmaceuticals. Okay. Next one, you have the Project Ahana. This Project Ahana is basically an NGO which is working towards AIDS-free generation. So remember, Project Ahana is related to AIDS-free generation. And you have partners for this, which includes National AIDS Control Organization, which is a global fund to fight AIDS, the tuberculosis and malaria. and it focuses on preventing parent to child transmission among women in vulnerable and marginalized communities. That is the main aim. Okay, now let's start with the next topic, that is nutrition and sanitation. So in this nutrition and sanitation, the first topic what we have is the Global Hunger Index 2020. So in this Global Hunger Index 2020, if you see, India is ranked 94 out of 107 countries. So this Global Hunger Index 2020 actually says that India is a serious hunger category. Now what is this actually? We will see. This is published by Concerned Wildlife and Welt Hunger Life. Okay, remember this. It is published by Concerned Worldwide and Welt Hunger Life. So remember this. And this is basically to create awareness and understanding of struggle against hunger. That is the main aim of this. And in this Global Hunger Index, there are 4 components that are used. They are undernourishment, child wasting, child stunting, and child mortality. So actually there are 3 dimensions and 4 indicators. So these are the 4 indicators. Undernourishment basically means, so the 3 dimensions are undernourishment, child mortality, and child undernourishment. So basically undernourishment basically means the inadequate supply of food. That is the main definition of undernourishment. Next one, child mortality. If you see, the number of children who are dying below 5 comes under the child mortality. Next one, if you see, under the child undernutrition, in this child undernutrition, you have wasting and stunting. Wasting means low weight for height, and it is for basically children who are below 5, low weight for height. And child stunting means low height for age. That is the meaning of child stunting and child wasting. Okay, child wasting means low weight for height, and child stunting means low height for age. So in the Global Hunger Index score, if you see, 0 is the best score and 100 is the worst score. And in India actually scored 27.2 out of 100. That puts India into a serious category. And only 13 countries fare worse than India, and they include Rwanda, Nigeria, Afghanistan, etc. And other South Asian neighbors are actually ahead of India. And in undernourishment, 14% of Indian population don't get enough calories. That is a major problem. So we have to solve this problem, in fact. And 35% of children are stunted, 17.3% under 5 children are wasted, and under 5 mortality is 3.7%. Okay. So if you see another report, the Global Nutrition Report, this Global Nutrition Report is actually launched by, you can say it is established by World Health Assembly, and India is currently ranked. So India is among the 88 countries actually that may miss the global nutrition targets by 2025. And these global nutrition targets are given for various things like the stunting, anemia, overweight, exclusive breastfeeding, etc. And India might miss the target. Okay, and it is very evident because still 37.9% of children in India who are under 5 are stunted, and 27.8% are wasted. And this is actually way above the Asia's average. And inequality is also evident in all these things when we compare rural areas and urban areas. And also there is underweight as well, right? So if you see other important reports that are published and important from the examination point of view, the first one is the Global Report on Food Crisis. This Global Report on Food Crisis basically is launched by Global Network Against Food Crisis, which is an international alliance working to address root cause of extreme hunger. And this is launched by European Union, Food and Agriculture Organization, and the WFP during the 2016 World Humanitarian Summit. Okay, WFP is World Food Program, right? And also, it is an integrated food security phase classification, which is a 5-phase scale, which is a common global scale for classifying severity and magnitude of food insecurity and malnutrition. Next one is the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2020. The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2020 is launched by Food and Agriculture Organization, so which is an international, and also along with this, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, UNICEF, World Food Program, and WHO are involved. So this is launched by multiple agencies. Next one is the State of Food and Agriculture 2020. So this is launched by Food and Agriculture Organization, and it states that the new estimates on pervasiveness of water security in agriculture and number of people affected. Okay, and next one is the recommended dietary allowance and nutrition requirement is given, and this report is published by the ICMR, the Indian Council for Medical Research, and it redefines how a man should consume, how a woman should consume, what are the calories, what are the important things for the nutrition, etc. All these things are given under this recommended diet allowance and nutritional requirement. So it is said that the body weight of 65 kg of male and the 55 kg of female, no? So that is a body weight that has to be there, and it has recommended dietary allowances for this. And it said that the cereals, legume, and milk composition should be 3:1:2.5, and this is varied from 11:1:3. Okay. and the recommendatory amount is 400 grams per day of fruits and vegetables to obtain sufficient amount of antioxidant nutrition. Remember, all of these things are given for male of 65 kg and female for 55 kg. Okay. And some other important news, we have India's state level disease burden initiative, which is launched by collaboration between ICMR and Public Health Foundation of India, along with Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, which have all the experts and stakeholders, which is from 100 institutions across India. Next one, you have the Food Coalition, which is by UN to prevent COVID-19 food crisis. That is a food coalition. Remember, Food Coalition is by UN to prevent COVID-19 food crisis, and it is a multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral alliance by Food and Agricultural Organization, which is to support innovative COVID-19 initiative to ensure global food access, to increase resilience and transformation of agri-food system in sustainable manner. Okay. So that's it, friends, for this lecture. In the next lecture, we will finish these social issues and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, that's it for the day. And guys, these are our initiatives. We have launched Vision PT 365 summary, Vision Prelims Test Series summary, Vision Monthly Magazine summary, and Vision Mains Test Series summary. So you can check all of the quality of all of these documents in our Telegram channel. We are providing very high quality summaries so that you can get the maximum for your preparation. So do make the use of these initiatives and check the details in the Telegram channel. That's it, guys, from my side. I'll see you again in the next lecture. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.